You might have guessed by the title. The creation of this talk is a nod to critical race theory. For those unfamiliar, critical race theory is an academic concept of analyzing how laws, social and political movements, and media shape and are shaped by social concept of race and ethnicity. It is a controversial topic and something that has been the subject of many political debates and headlines over the last few years. You're right if you think I'm using CRT to invoke and provoke. That's because accessibility is political. The very nature of what it means to provide accessibility is not neutral. The fundamental principle of accessibility is to provide access and opportunity to people with disabilities. Accessibility is about disability. Yes, digital accessibility is a huge net positive for everyone, although later I'll explain why focusing on everyone can become problematic. Still, disability must be centered at the core of what it means to make technology accessible. With that last point in mind, let's jump into the four tenets that make up critical accessibility theory. Tenet one: ableism is structural and systematic within organizations and thus prevents true accessibility from being achieved. Ableism is a set of beliefs or practices that devalue and discriminate against people with physical, intellectual, or psychiatric disabilities, and often rest on the assumption that disabled people need to be fixed in one form or another. There are numerous ways ableism propagates within organizations. When dealing with companies building technology, one of the most grievous ways ableism shows up is the misconception that disabled people don't use technology. The disabled people don't use our software argument is extensive within soft and web development. This argument is not based on market or consumer research. It's some business just vibes type of thinking. The World Health Organization reports an estimated 1.3 billion people globally experience significant disabilities. Given how widespread the internet and tech use is around the globe, to say that disabled people don't use the internet and technology is beyond misguided. Now, you can say that people with disabilities might be less likely to go online or use a particular technology. But why is that? You're not going to find a chicken or egg type dilemma here because, quite simply, the reason is inaccessible content and platforms. Accessibility is seen as an afterthought when it comes to the development of digital technology. And that is directly due to disability and disabled people being seen as lesser when it comes to being provided a service or having a need met. A 2019 BBC article showcased the experiences of several blind and low vision individuals using smartphones in public. They were bombarded with questions by strangers, and many were accused of faking their disabilities. Because how could you be disabled but live in a society? This ableist mentality doesn't only exist in the street, turning on and off as people clock in and out of work. It's a looming presence as products are designed and built. Tenet 2: accessibility work only begins in earnest when the work benefits a majority without disabilities and often fails to address inaccessibility fully. Accessibility benefits everyone. If you are an accessibility professional or specialist, this is a phrase you have probably said in some form or another thousands of times to make the case for accessibility to be a consideration at your company. When you have to fight against the disabled people don't use our software sentiment, dangling the mutualism carrot in front of stakeholders that if you provide accessibility features for disabled people, those features can also be marketed to non disabled people is a way to get things moving. While it might be effective, It has some significant drawbacks. When accessibility features become popular with non disabled users and the marketing focus shifts to those non disabled users, it can lead to additions and improvements that degrade accessible elements for the disabled audience it was initially designed for. Again, when disability and disabled people are seen as being less, their needs and requests are often pushed aside. One recent and well known accessibility feature that demonstrates this is dark mode. The two significant design reasons for modern dark modes are energy efficiency and visual accessibility. However, as the feature grows in popularity in applications and websites, the push to offer dark mode for every app, device, and site has become more focused on the visual aesthetics of its application. This focus causes incorrect implementations of dark mode, leading to accessibility issues instead of solutions. Tenet 3. The experiences of disabled people with technology are often told by those outside the community and filtered and changed to better fit popular narratives, leading to solutions that aren't needed or undesired. You can't go a week without coming across an article from some tech news website about a high tech device for people with disabilities going semi viral on social media. Many of these devices call into images of Blade Runner and the promise that disabled people can finally overcome their disabilities. The devices are not about breaking through accessibility barriers, instead, trying to correct disability or hide it. The latter highlights why these viral devices are rarely developed in partnership or consultation with disabled people, as it would become apparent that they can't address the most critical barriers or disregard that sometimes the most effective solutions are low or no tech base. What makes for better access? People buying a wheelchair that costs tens of thousands of dollars, most likely not covered by insurance, that can navigate stairs, or build a ramp that can accommodate various wheelchairs of differing types. Tenet 4. Disability is viewed monolithically and not intersectional, leading to incomplete solutions and further problems. Kimberly Crenshaw, who coined the term intersectionality, defines it as a metaphor for understanding how multiple forms of inequality or disadvantage sometimes compound themselves and create obstacles that are often not understood among conventional ways of thinking. People with disabilities have multiple identities that make up who they are. No one is just disabled. Various identities and social factors intersect and play a significant part in how an individual experiences disability, the barriers they will face, and what access they can gain. When it comes to building accessibility features and settings, treating disability as a monolith leads to ineffective features and the possibility of creating barriers. One area where this monolith approach causes significant harm is testing digital products and apps with assistive technology. When you work from the assumption that everyone with a particular disability experiences it to the same degree, has equal access to the same assistive technology, or even the ability to use assistive tech, it leads to ineffective and inefficient solutions. You can't solve every unique accessibility need in product development. Still, concerning that individuals with various requirements will use the features you provide, you can build solutions that have the resistance to meet as many needs as possible. With an understanding of the four fundamental principles of critical accessibility theory, let's examine how these principles can be applied within tech development to drive accessibility initiatives. Emphasizing education and awareness about ableism and disability at the beginning of accessibility initiatives before technical solutions. One of the biggest mistakes many companies make when building accessibility initiatives is jumping right into technical fixes without understanding why their product is inaccessible. The reasoning is that it's critical to fix the issues and education could come later. But later is too late, as you can't create effective solutions to problems you approach with incorrect assumptions and stereotypes. The lack of education guarantees a never ending loop of audits, inadequate fixes, and regression. Reviewing policies and practices to identify gaps in current approaches to design and development that address the unique needs and experiences of people with disabilities. Examining the current policies for the extent to which accessibility is prioritized is essential. This examination unveils inadequacies that disrupt the integration of accessibility considerations into tech design and development. If these policies inadvertently foster biases or assumptions, the success of accessibility initiatives becomes jeopardized. A genuine dedication to accessibility requires the willingness to confront issues head on and an ongoing commitment to enhancement, ensuring that accessibility remains a core facet of the development process. Soliciting feedback from customers with disabilities and recruiting candidates with disabilities who can bring valuable perspectives and experiences. Actively seeking feedback directly from individuals with disabilities who are using or engaging with your products or services provides a means of gathering crucial insights into their experiences, obstacles faced, and suggestions for enhancements. This insight and feedback is often overlooked or unrecognized in traditional product development. Unfortunate as this information is valuable in uncovering accessibility barriers, user interface concerns, and opportunities for optimizing features to better serve diverse requirements of individuals with disabilities. And by proactively recruiting candidates with disabilities, you are incorporating individuals who can offer distinct outlooks and insights into your organization. These team members come equipped with experience navigating accessibility challenges, thereby informing improved inclusive choices. This practice fosters a heightened sense of empathy in your approach to crafting products and services that cater comprehensively to a broader spectrum of users. Research the diversity of the disability community to better understand the unique needs and experiences of different groups. Research is crucial in understanding the distinct needs and experiences of various groups within the disability community. Engaging with diverse sources, including academic studies, community organizations, advocacy groups, and personal narratives, allows for a nuanced perspective on the intersectionality of identities such as race, gender, and sexuality within the context of disability. This research gives a holistic understanding of of the challenges and requirements of differing disability groups, fostering a foundation for more inclusive and empathetic approaches to design, development, and services. The philosophy of critical accessibility theory stands as a transformative paradigm, redefining how we approach the concept of accessibility. At its core, this theory recognizes that the experiences and voices of disabled individuals must be the driving force behind accessibility endeavors. It transcends the surface level considerations, delving into the intricate tapestry of identities, challenges, and aspirations that weave together the lives of people with disabilities. CAT compels us to cast a critical eye on established norms and preconceived notions that have for too long perpetrated exclusion and unequal treatment. It urges us to challenge the status quo, reshaping our collective mindset to understand accessibility as an innate right and not a benevolent afterthought. This shift in perspective reverberates beyond audits and captions. It resonates in creating policies, design choices, and cultural narratives that champion each person's inherent worth.